Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. One of my absolute favorite business books is one of Patrick Lencioni's books. He's written a couple great ones, but this one particularly known as The Advantage. I love this book, The Advantage. And the reason it sticks with me, I think, is pretty simple. Most companies, when you study them, they do not lose because they are dumb. They lose because they are unhealthy. And that's the core idea of the book. And of course, we're going to describe what unhealthy means. But the core idea, as Lencioni argues, is that the greatest advantage a company can have is not its strategy or its marketing or its technology or its capital or even its talent. Those things all certainly matter. But they are not the ultimate advantage. The ultimate advantage is what Lencioni calls organizational health. See, a healthy organization has leaders who trust each other, leaders who can argue but productively, who can commit to decisions, who hold each other accountable, and who stay focused on results. An unhealthy organization has politics, confusion, silos, avoidance, ego, drama, has unclear priorities, and has people pulling in different directions. I think here's the most important part of all of this. A smart but unhealthy company will often get beat by a healthy company that is less brilliant but more aligned. And that is true in business. It's true in sports. It's true in families. It's true in all teams. Because when the environment is unhealthy, the intelligence ends up getting wasted. Think about how many businesses you know of that are filled with pretty smart people, but the company still feels harder than it should. Its success feels harder than it should. Meetings are unclear. The priorities change every week. People in companies like this are afraid to say what they really think. Leadership in companies like this, will talk around each other instead of working things out in the room. And as a result, employees start to hear different messages depending on who they're talking to. Everyone is super busy in organizations like this, but not everyone is aligned. And that's not usually a strategy problem. That is, going back to what I was saying earlier, a health problem. Now, Patrick Lencioni lays out 4 disciplines of a healthy organization. The first is building a cohesive leadership team. This is where a lot of companies want to skip ahead. They want to talk about revenue goals or recruiting or whatever it may be. But the first question is actually a little bit more basic. Can the leadership team actually function as a team? Do they trust each other enough to tell the truth? Can they have hard conversations without making them personal? Can they agree, disagree, make decisions, walk certain things back, yet leave the room committed? Can they hold each other accountable without the CEO being the only person who enforces standards? A lot of companies do not have leadership teams. They have collections of high-performing individuals that happen to attend the same meetings. Think about that. A lot of companies do not have leadership teams. They have collections of high-performing individuals who attend the same meetings. There is a big difference there. Now, the second of the 4 disciplines that Lencioni talks about is creating clarity. This is somewhat underrated, especially when it pertains to the job of leadership. People can only execute well when they are clear. Why do we exist? How do we behave? What do we actually do? How will we succeed? What matters most right now? Who is responsible for what? Those sound like simple questions, but they really are not. See, most companies give somewhat cloudy answers if they have to address those questions. They use vague language. They assume everyone understands the mission and the strategy and the values and the priorities. But when you ask 5 leaders to explain the business, you'll end up with 5 different versions. That lack of clarity creates friction everywhere. It'll show up in hiring and in meetings and in coaching. It ultimately shows up in the customer experience. When leaders are unclear, then employees are forced to guess. And guessing is a pretty expensive thing. Now, the third discipline of the 4, third discipline is over communicating clarity. Over communicating clarity. This is the one I think that leaders embrace but eventually get tired of. You say something once and you assume people heard it. You say it twice and you assume that they understood it. You say it 3 times and you assume they are probably bored, but that is not how organizations work. People are distracted and they get busy and they're hearing noise from clients and coworkers and email and text and this and that. Your message is not competing against silence. It's competing against everything. And that is why leaders have to repeat what matters. They have to do it constantly. They have to talk about the priorities nonstop, the standards nonstop, the values, the scorecard, the behaviors that win, and the behaviors that are no longer acceptable. Over communication is not redundant when the message really, really matters. That is actually leadership. Now, the fourth of the 4 disciplines is reinforcing clarity. What do I mean when I say reinforcing clarity? It's not enough to say what matters. You have to build it into the operating system of the company. It's not enough to say what matters. It has to be built into everything. It's got to be built into hiring and onboarding and meetings, compensation, promotions, coaching, recognition. I mean, you name it, it's got to be built in there. If you say accountability matters, for example, but high producers get away with bad behavior, your culture is not accountability. If you say teamwork matters, but then every incentive rewards individual performance only, then your culture is not one of teamwork. If you say the customer matters, but your meetings only review revenue, your culture is not customer first. Culture is never going to be what you claim. Culture is what you tolerate, reward, repeat, and protect. And I think this is why The Advantage is such a strong book. It's one of my favorites. It takes culture out of the abstract, and it makes it far more operational. And for me, that's why I think it resonates so much. Again, because you hear so much about culture, but operationalizing it has always been a challenge. I think this laid it out pretty well with the 4 disciplines. For entrepreneurs here today, this is the lesson. You may not need a smarter strategy right now. You may just need a healthier company. You may not need another initiative. Maybe you just need a clear priority. You may not need more meetings. You may just need better meetings where people tell the truth and make commitments and they leave the meeting aligned. I think this applies outside of business too, for what it's worth. Families need clarity. Marriages need trust. Friendships need honest conversations. Just like teams need standards. Kids need consistency. So people do better when the environment is healthy and the expectations are clear. So here's what I want for you to do today as your action item. I want you to take out a piece of paper. Just like we did yesterday, we're going to answer 3 questions. First, where is our organization unhealthy right now? Again, not where we are underperforming, but where are we unhealthy? Is it in trust or conflict? Are we unhealthy in accountability, clarity? You get the pick. Second question, what is one thing our team is forced to guess about? What are they forced to guess about? If people are guessing about priorities, roles, standards, that is on leadership. That is on you. Third, what are we tolerating that contradicts what we say we believe? I'm a little biased here. This might be the most important question. Culture is not built by that poster that's up on the wall. It is built by the behavior you allow after that meeting ends. See, the advantage is not being the smartest company in the room. The advantage is being the healthiest, because healthy companies, they will move faster. because they tell the truth sooner. They waste less energy. They make better, cleaner decisions, and they execute, and they especially execute with less drama. That's all I have for you today, the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.